Hello, and welcome to Shitfaced Shitfics, where we don't play games and scream, and we don't interview people for your beneficial health. No, here we just read really bad stories together and get really drunk. So that's usually what we do. But today is a special day because we have a guest.
Yay!
What's your name, guest?
Hi, I'm Rob.
Is that Rob Cakrin who wrote My Little Dashie?
Maybe.
Priest?
It's Rob Cakrin that wrote My Little Dashie!
Oh my god! Woo!
So you know what that means?
In honor of Rob Cakrin writing My Little Dashie, we've selected some very special stories for the upcoming month, which will be released the rest of the month. Yep, you heard that right. So get thankful for Thanksgiving, I guess. Because we are giving you a big steaming helping of My Little Dashie spin-offs, sequels, and parodies. We're gonna force
fucking die.
I know, we're gonna force Rob Cakrin to read the kind of schlock and drivel that his work has created. And you guys get to watch it, and we're gonna get drunk doing it. So, Rob, how does this make you feel?
Tingly in the throat regions. Because it still burns. Like that shot went down the wrong pipe.
Oh, I'm glad it doesn't burn elsewhere. Anyway.
How many My Little Dashie, Fix, and alternate endings have you read, Rob?
I read like 2.
Oh man.
Like there were, and they were actually good ones that I read. And this was very early days too. And don't ask me the titles. I don't remember them. One was about her getting a pair of goggles, and then I forget what the other one was. Something about like Christmas. And those are the only ones I've ever read. I've never. Or no, I lied. I read My Little Dashie because that one's always a classic.
Yeah, I thought about putting that one here, but honestly, it was too good.
No, that's a good one. You don't tarnish that one. That one's good.
Yeah, and we will be reading at 1.1 that is kind of actually good, but it's for fun. I wanted us to end on a fun note. So,
Okay.
In the meantime, the first thing we're going to be reading is called My Little Dashie Alternate Ending, and the image is a helicopter.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got a lot of downvotes.
This is My Little Dashie Alternate Ending by RamboPilot. My first fanfic. I know that there are errors and I accept that. I also know that it was a little rushed. The government wants to experiment on Rainbow Dash and take her away from her father. He will stop at all costs to prevent this from happening. Tagged for gore, sad, slice of life, tragedy, alternate universe, Rainbow Dash, and other. It is canceled.
And I will be reading the part of Rainbow Dash or any other female characters. Rob will be reading all male characters, including our main character, and Priest will be narrating.
Oh, Lord.
Here we go.
Act 1. Now, Dashie had just created a Sonic Rainboon, and I felt like I better get home before someone showed up. It had been 4 years since I first brought her home, so I could make her a cake. 45 minutes later, I heard a knock on the door. I told Dashie to hide, and she did. I walked over to the door, and 2 men in black business suits and dark glasses stood on the porch.
Who are you?
I asked them.
FBI!
Said the man on the left.
We've traced the incident, which has caused a lot of panic, to your house here. Where's the drone? We know you did it. Do you want a warrant? Or do you have a warrant? Yes.
I knew I was screwed now. Oh, not only me, but also Dashie, who I cared so much for, just because some guys think they can barge in on her and take the only thing I care about.
No, just because they can barge in her.
Barge in her? and take the only thing I care about. Who did they think they were? Well, that's kind of a dumb question because they know who they are, but that doesn't matter. I ran down the hall and grabbed Dashie.
We've got to get out of here!
Why?
They're on to us! Let's go!
Who?
The government.
What?
Let's just go!
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Come on, I'm holding up my end of this. Come on, guys.
I said, running out the back door, a black helicopter was orbiting the house already and turned toward us and went in our direction. The men at the front door had already gotten to the back door as I stumbled over the fence.
Get down on the ground!
I heard from the megaphone on the helicopter. I ran down the sidewalk with them all following me. A black SUV rounded the corner ahead and started driving my direction.
Dashie, fly away! Now!
She obeyed. She took off, and the black helicopter, noticing her for the first time, turned around and attempted to keep up. But the chopper couldn't keep up as she did another sonic rain boom. I was proud of her, but then I remembered the SUV. 2 men in SWAT gear with assault rifles jumped out the back.
Get down on the ground!
I put my hands in the air, but Dashie flew back at full rain boom and knocked the helicopter out of the air, making it crash right into the SUV.
Dashie, you made me proud.
It was the next day, and we were in a second-story room of a motel in the outskirts of the city.
Daddy?
Rainbow
Yes,
asked.
baby.
Why are they after us?
I don't know.
Do they want to hurt us?
I couldn't answer that. I think they just wanted to steal Dashie and experiment on her. I turned on the TV to change the subject, and sure enough, the helicopter crash into the SUV was on the screen.
And 4 agents are confirmed dead.
I turned off the TV. People were dead now. Rainbow Dash killed people. I had done this. Why? Because I didn't want them to get to Dashie. I realized something. They wouldn't stop, no matter what. I have to protect her. I would have to get her home, somehow. They would not stop, especially since now they know who and what she was. I needed time. Time to think of what to do next. It was 8 a.m. What could I do? I heard police cars with sirens blaring drive right into the parking lot. I knew I would have to move on now. They would find me and Dashie here. I couldn't let them. My thoughts were cut off by the standard megaphone line I've heard more since yesterday than I'd ever wanted to.
Step out of your room and get down on the ground! We have you surrounded! You can't run!
Not surrounded, look at it!
Surrounded!
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 I lifted the blinds up a little. I could see the volley of police cars outside with lights flashing and officers with their guns resting on the doors. Their doors. I looked at the back window. I had an idea. I ran to the window and opened it up. It was barely large enough for Dashie and I to squeeze through. I fell 10 feet to the ground. I brushed myself off and we ran. I heard the officers slam the door shut and drive off. They would find us. I knew that. I heard the sirens closing in. I told Dashie to take off. I said,
It'll be okay.
no. I'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
She trusted me and flew off. I immediately felt horrible. What if I died? She would always think of me and be sad forever.
Oh my god.
No, I would live. I was going to overcome this. I saw an older sedan parked in the parking lot ahead. I didn't want to steal it, but I had to. I picked the lock with a piece of scrap metal and hot-wired it.
What? No, stop! What?
Is this in character for, you know... I drove out of the lot 5 minutes later inconspicuously. They would never find me. It was a week and a half later. I was still looking for Dashie. Where could she be? I noticed blue and red lights glaring in the rearview mirror, and I saw a police car behind me. I was driving just fine. The plates, of course. They had tracked the license plates. I floored the accelerator. The police car followed seamlessly. 5 minutes later, half a dozen police cars and a helicopter were behind me. I couldn't believe what was going on. I had to escape. I headed for the highway. It was 5 p.m. and rush hour was starting. It was a great movie. I drove down the emergency lane on the right shoulder and floored it. The helicopter was still behind me, as was one of the cars. I smashed of the interstate at the next exit, drove into a parking garage. Once I reached the third layer, I received a shock. I found Dashie. Then I saw what was happening. There was 2 men in suits loading her into a black van. I rammed the van! I stopped the car, punched one of the men in the face, and he was immediately out cold. I punched the other one down also.
I refuse to say this line.
You have to do it. That was the deal, Robbie King. You have to say it.
Hello, period. My little Dashie.
I said...
Daddy?
She asked, obviously shaken.
Yes, it's me.
I said, just glad to see her.
Get down on the ground!
I've seen that line so many times.
More police cars and a SWAT van were in the garage, with several men pointing guns at me. This wasn't good. It definitely wasn't good. I put my hands up and got down on my knees. Luckily, they couldn't see Dashie, who was obscured from their vision behind a support pylon. We must construct additional pylons.
God damn it.
They walked over and handcuffed me, but no one looked over and somehow saw Dashie.
No, but one looked.
But one looked over and somehow saw Dashie. He had a confused expression on his face and pointed the other men to her. I knew we were dead now. We wouldn't get away this time. I woke up in a large room with floodlights blinding me. I looked around and the first thing I wondered was where Dashie was. The agent walked towards me.
Oh, well, what do you... Where's Dashie? Who? A blue Pegasus. Where is she?
I asked more calmly.
She's being tested. What? I mean, I
tripped him as he walked by me and snapped the zip tie that held me to the chair. Really? One zip tie? That's all the government can afford?
For the record, I have at the airport an actual police officer zip tie. Those are fucking massive and very thick. You can't just break one of those.
I can slip out of them, though.
Yes, you can slip on, but you can't break them. Sorry, continue.
No, it's fine. I ran off as alarms started blaring. I was holding the agent's pistol and key card and was running through the building, looking for her. After about 15 minutes, I found a door that looked promising.
Oh, God.
I swiped the card in front of the door, and the lock turned green. I opened the door, walked in, and saw some cables hooked up to Dashie.
How dare you! Well, well.
A man interrupted. He looked like an evil scientist as he turned around in his chair.
You're the man who was in possession of this weird...
He made hand gestures to prove his point of how weird she was. Yep, definitely insane.
Anyhow, how did you graft her DNA? Tucking the ability to fly at high-level intelligence? I didn't!
He looked surprised.
Well, then did some other scientist hire you to raise her as an experiment? No.
I replied to him.
I like that you're Batman, Rob.
Then where did she come from?
It was his turn to rage.
I don't know. I found her in a box on the street one day. Through the merry, merry month of May. You're useless.
He muttered.
What? We can achieve unimaginable greatness with this project.
I was now angry.
And you have nothing. Let's get dissecting.
I didn't wait for him to start. I punched him hard in the face, and we were breaking out. I opened the door to a warehouse full of vehicles. I took a simple black SUV and drove off. I looked behind me to see a base in the side of a mountain. How did no one notice this? Where would we go? Where could we go? Where were we? I needed to know. We could survive. I could find a safe place for Dashie. I hoped I could anyway. I drove as fast as the vehicle would go in silence. The speedometer read, the speedometer read 120.
The speedometer.
Dashie,
I asked.
Are you okay?
They hadn't started the experiments yet.
I breathed a sigh of relief, but my relief was cut off by a missile exploding 20 feet from the car. I heard a helicopter closing in. Not this shit again. I was forced to drive off the road and onto a field. The helicopter started firing its minigun at us. I cocked back the pistol I held in my hand. I opened my window and shot at the helicopter. Unfortunately, nothing happened. Another missile fired, hitting much closer this time. I looked over at Dashie to see she was unconscious from either the shrapnel or the shockwave.
Well, that's a big difference, okay? Just to be clear, if she's unconscious from shockwave versus unconscious from shrapnel.
I hope I'm not driving you guys mad with my sound
I
effects.
love it. Please keep doing it.
Okay.
I was beyond mad now. No one hurts Dashie. I wasn't going to let him live. That was for sure. Jumping out of the SUV, I searched for anything I could to destroy the helicopter in the back of the vehicle. I found a rocket launcher. This was going to be good. I was going to get my revenge. I walked over to Dashie seconds after I turned that helicopter into a pile of scrap metal.
Wait, we don't even get to see you blow.
Wait, what? The explosion sound.
I know. Do you want to do the explosion sound, Rob?
And
there you go. Thank you.
Sorry, that kind of sounded like a duck.
no,
It's great.
oh. I walked over to Dashie seconds after I turned that helicopter into a pile of scrap metal. She had a minor injury in the chest. I knew I needed to help her, but how? I saw an old pickup driving past, but I ignored it. I picked her up and cradled her in my arms.
Why mention the pickup truck?
Because it's relevant later.
Oh,
God.
God, I guess. Okay.
We're only halfway into this.
Oh, my God. We're not, are we?
We are halfway.
Look, let's go.
I was crying.
No. Sir.
A man got out of his pickup and was running over to me, presumably because of the crashed helicopter and bruised SUV.
What is going on over here?
I hid Dashie behind the remains of the car.
What is that?
He asked, referring to Dashie. I knew I couldn't hide it from this man.
Is that
He gasped, thinking it couldn't be possible.
a Pegasus? Or am I insane? Yes. But those don't exist except in ancient mythology. Apparently not. Okay then, what is wrong? She's hurt!
His eyes widened. He knew I was telling the truth now. He walked over and gawked in bewilderment.
What happened to her? Shrapnel. Good thing I'm a doctor.
Oh, my God.
The man said, taking my edge off a little bit.
This is a bad one.
He walked over to his truck and pulled out a white plastic box. Suddenly, however, a Jeep with a machine gun on top speed down the road and stopped right in front of him, floodlights on full glare. The passenger got out and walked over towards the wrecked helicopter assault rifle in his hands. He looked behind the car and saw Dashie as he was about to run back to the Jeep, I shot him down.
Blam!
The machine gunner shot in my general direction as the driver walked over to me with his assault rifle. I shot him with the other rifle and shot the gunner right off the Jeep.
What was that?
The doctor asked.
I had to protect her. Those were U.S. Army.
He pointed out.
I know.
I replied back to him.
They want her. They will stop at nothing until they have her.
The doctor walked over and continued helping Dashie, to my surprise.
I feel sorry for you.
He understood my problem.
I wouldn't let them live if they wanted someone that close to me dead or alive either.
At midnight, we arrived at a rest stop. Dashie and I got out and looked at the rest stop sign. Great. We were in New York. I walked over to the battered SUV from the road map.
What are we gonna do?
Dashie asked me.
We're gonna find some place to hide.
How are we gonna do that?
I put the key in the ignition. Thinking about her question, the car just stalled. I turned the key again. Nothing.
Wait, the thinking about her question caused the car to stall? This is why sentence order is important, folks.
I heard a car pull off the highway and into the rest stop. I got out of the car, telling Dashie to stay still, and noticed it was another government vehicle with red and blue lights flashing. Uh-oh. They'd found us. I grabbed my assault rifle. A shot burst through the windshield. The driver slumped, and the other passengers in body armor got out and opened fire. I hid behind the SUV and shot one down.
Run, Dashie! Run! Get out of here!
I opened the door on my side of the vehicle, and she flew off towards the forest. One of the men hid behind the car and said some things into the radio. A helicopter flew overhead towards the forest almost immediately. I shot another burst at them, but it didn't hit any of them. I felt a pain in my shoulder. I looked and saw I'd been shot. I fell over backwards and tumbled into a stream.
Splash.
2 a.m. That's when the vehicles pulled into the parking lot to confirm that he was dead. Oh my god. Killed by shoulder shot. The helicopter had landed an hour earlier with Romeo Delta on board. Dr. Johnson already had the subject in the lab. He was considering starting the dissection immediately, or to learn more about this thing. His assistant walked in.
Demon, you did. So we have time to figure this thing. Oh, sorry. Romeo Delta out? Apparently.
The man shrugged. That was it! We would have to figure out this thing's habits before they dissected it. After all, there was just one. I woke up in a hospital sometime later. It was around 6 p.m. 2 police officers stood in the room. Do you remember who shot you? Oh, sorry.
Ah!
I fucked up.
I was gonna go full on Buford T. Justice on that, but fine. Okay.
No, do it. Do it.
Do you remember who shot you? What?
I asked.
Do you know who shot you?
The officer repeated.
Some men who were taking something from me. So, what did they want? I
stopped myself. I couldn't tell them.
don't know. You better get some rest, boy.
Hey! That's a nurse.
Oh, nurse! Oh, I'm sorry! I didn't see that, I'm sorry!
Oh, shit! You taking my lines now. Well, fine. You better get some rest.
A nurse told me. I was asleep again within seconds. December 19th, 2015. Subject 0114. Subject designation Romeo Delta. The subject is still stable. Subject habits include asking questions about subject's father. The subject appears to be not at mature age as of today. The subject's DNA contains chromosome structures that we do not recognize. The DNA does indicate, however, the subject's gender is female. The age is around 9 years. We cannot verify as of present where the subject originated. However, we do know that this level of genetic splicing does not exist. We have no further proof of origin. We will attempt to learn as much about the specimen as possible before dissection. We have orders to wait up to 90 days before dissecting the specimen. I had no idea how long it was since I got to the hospital. I asked the woman at the front desk.
March 12th.
I have been out for nearly 3 months. I had no idea what to do now. I figured I would have to find Dashie. After all, she had been on her own for 3 months now. Uh-oh, I had to find her now. She couldn't have survived on her own that long. They probably had her. I immediately tried to remember where the base was. In the side of a mountain!
God damn!
What the fuck?
I had to get there as soon as I could. But just then, news crews seemed to come out of nowhere and started taking my picture and asking me questions. Great! How was I supposed to find her now? I'm famous! A gray sedan pulled up and a man in a suit got out.
New York police investigator.
The man said, flashing his badge.
Come with me.
The crews backed off, and I reluctantly stepped into the car. A man immediately pulled out a revolver and pointed at my chest.
You should be dead. Well, neither you or your creation won't live much longer.
Oh no.
Lowercase O!
I grabbed the door handle and slammed myself to the pavement, avoiding the bullet and saving my life. I rolled over to the sidewalk and the man kept firing. I ran.
I'm sorry! I just envisioned him falling out of the car and then just rolling across the center of the road all the way to the sidewalk.
I ran through a crowd as a police officer ran through the crowd and shot him dead with his pistol. I had hidden myself well in the crowd, but one thing was clear. They thought I was still alive and they wanted me dead at all costs. I would have to rescue Dashie. They no doubt had her. I thought about the helicopter in the night that flew by the night I was shot. I hailed a taxi. I pulled the driver out and drove the cab quickly out of the city. I knew I would have to get back on my own. The police might soon figure out who I really was, if they didn't already. I saw 4 police cruisers in my rearview mirror. Great! Another police chase! A helicopter flew overhead at a high altitude. I remember what the man said.
Your creation won't live much longer.
I would have to get there fast. They would no doubt kill her. A bullet through my windshield.
A bullet flew through? Maybe?
Yep. Yes. That is what I meant. March 12th, 2016. Subject 0114. Subject designation Romeo Delta.
I like that it's March 12H.
March 12H.
It's 12.
6 days until we are ready. Subject has been exhibiting rapid growth, but we have not received an extension for research. We believe the subject may have emotions. We will need an extension time period of research. We can't get much research between 312 and our 318 deadline.
It took us 3 months to realize she had emotions.
Status is normal. No major changes since 311. Amber is the color of your energy! Sorry.
Stop!
Whoa!
Stop!
Jesus, take the cardinal!
I'm just gonna drink now.
2 millimeter height increase. Excessive wing flapping.
Excessive wing flapping. She's just sitting there like a hummingbird.
Just like... brrr.
The next one! The next one, Pencil, you better do it!
Okay.
An increasingly depressed moaning.
Oh.
This indicates a probable understanding of impending death.
Go on, priest. Go on.
I stammered out of my daze. I slammed the accelerator to prevent the police, still at my tail, from taking me down. I weaved in and out of the near gridlock traffic to try and escape the city. I saw a way out, and I took it. It was about 5 days before my now completely destroyed Crown Vic taxi spluttered to a halt, conveniently around 500 feet outside the base entrance. If you're going to question a Crown Vic more than anything else in this fit, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm questioning everything at this point. Shit, man.
Close enough, I thought. I would have to sneak in. I crawled through the bushes towards the base. 40 minutes later, I lifted part of the fence up and crawled through.
Just lifting the fence. Just up it goes.
I saw a guard's feet from the other side of the fence. I pulled him to the ground, covered his mouth, and used his own knife against him. 5 minutes later, I was walking inside the base in the guard's uniform, which I guess isn't covered in blood. I opened a door to the main hallway. 2 scientists were talking to each other.
And they gave us approval to start immediately. I can't believe they let us start nearly a week ahead of schedule. But we can still learn more from the specimen. Don't get in love with your science.
I like that they're trying to say too, that don't fall too in love with your science. Instead, don't get too in love with your science.
Did I say it? Oh yeah, don't get too in love with your science.
I knew something weird was going on here.
You can say that again.
So I followed them. They walked through a door and pressed a button, and it opened a several chamber room.
We're supposed to be alone in here. You can't come in.
The older scientist said.
Okay.
I replied. I paced around.
No! Fuck no! No!
I think Rob's cat may have knocked over his alcohol.
Oh no.
Well,
I'll keep reading until we run into a line for Rob.
that's fine.
I paced around the hall as if I had purpose for the last 20 minutes. I then heard terrible noises coming from the door at the end of the hall. I swiped my key card on the latch and the door opened. Unfortunately, the other guards had caught on to what was really happening just as I opened the door. Bullets shot down the hallway at me, slamming into the metal door behind me. I shot my rifle back in response. I swiped my card on the next door, the next door behind me closing as I walked in. The sight on the other side wasn't something I was prepared for, or ever would be. I saw Dashie, strapped to a table, with men in hazmat suits cutting into her with surgery knives.
With surgery knives.
I saw her guts on a table. This was bad. They were already cutting into her. That's it, I thought. They're gonna pay. I used my rifle to shoot one of the men. Another man grabbed a pistol from a table and pointed at me. I shot him down quickly also.
Dashie, are you okay?
I yelled, scared in his situation. This situation. No answer. Uh-oh. She coughed up blood.
Daddy?
Let's get you out of here.
I heard a ding and pointed my rifle at the door. A wave of guards hidden behind riot shields entered the room. They pushed me down to the floor with their shields. I shot the rifle up at the man who knocked me down. The others all pointed their guns at me. I knew I was dead. I saw them pull their triggers, but then a soldier said,
Wait!
The lowered their guns and looked at him.
The hell is...
He said, pointing at Rainbow Dash. I felt relieved. Most of these men had no idea what was going on. I explained the situation to them. They laughed. Not really surprising. However, it turned out 2 of them were bronies. And they helped me try to stitch her back up. She was going to die. There was nothing we could do.
The end. Okay. Okay. So, this was My Little Dashie alternate ending by RamboPilot, which is appropriate, I guess. What did you think of this story, Rob? Is Rob the dead? Rob is the dead. Priest, are you the dead?
No.
What did you think of this story, since Rob is away because of whatever?
Rob is responsible for this.
Yeah, that's true. This happened because of Rob.
Oh my god.
And Rob, who is just trying to fix the internet, says he's dying. He can't handle what happened here today. He got so angry his internet blew up. Well,
this has 2,452 reads.
And 6 upvotes and 26 downvotes. If you enjoyed this story, go upvote or downvote this story as you fit. The author hasn't been online since 2013. So, yeah, do with it as you will. That's, I think, the best thing. I have to admit, I'm kind of curious to how they were going to end that. It was just one giant stupid. And I'd really like to have known what kind of stupid they ended it with, since they just brought bronies into the mix. Well...
I don't know how to feel.
As in, like, you don't know what emotion to feel, or you've lost the ability to know how to feel?
I don't know how to feel. I think I've lost the ability to feel.
That's fair. This story is appropriate for that, too. Well, that's all for this week's Shitfaced Shit. I've been a non-pencil. He's Flutter Priest. And Rob died. We'll see you next week for more Rob being sad.
Rob, I'll revive you so you can be back in the next episode!